All right. Good evening. Namaskar. This is Aparna Saini, and welcome back to day 2 of pink ball test between India versus Australia. And we have got none other than Norman Kochannek. So you're watching Cricket Conversation with Aparna Saini, which is a collaboration, or my co-host, I should say, Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochannek. And, well, what can we say about the day of play? India definitely had the momentum at the start, and we saw that wonderful century from Smriti Mandana. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what she can do with the Sydney Thunders this season. I mean, Australia gained a bit of that momentum back later in the day. I mean, Elise Perry finally got the wicket she was chasing, and Annabelle Sutherland created something from nothing with the big run out of none other than the captain itself, Mithali Raj. So we had some fascinating case of Poonam Roth walking after nicking to Elisa Haley behind, despite the umpire giving her not out. So overall, if the rain wouldn't have wiped up a significant part of day's play, we would have continued to see a great and very interesting day in this test. What's your call, Norman?
Thanks for having me on your show, Aparna. Now, the reality is that they're 5 for 276 after some 101, almost 102 overs. That's effectively one day's play because each day would normally have 100 overs for the 4 days. So they've lost virtually a full day's play out of the 2 days, which is unfortunate. A lot of discussion as to whether India should bat on until their innings is finished or declare due to the time factor. But I would argue that India need to bat on as long as they possibly can because a big first innings lead to total will be very significant. Great batting from Smriti Mandana with 127. She looked fantastic. So did Poonam Rout, who gave herself out when she was supposedly caught behind. The umpire didn't think so, nor did either the first slip or some of the outfielders had no idea. In fact, the only person that really went up was Alyssa Healy. So Poonam Rout walked off with it actually being given not out. It was quite incredible. Yastika Bhatti looked pretty good. Antonia Bharti is in there now as well. So they've still got some batting to go. I think they're in a good position. India, they've done fantastically well, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I mean, as the game was starting to get interesting, it starts pouring out. I mean, we don't want any time taken out of this 4-day test match because that does reduce the chance for a result. So I think India was pushing reasonably well to set themselves for a win. I'm concerned if we lose too much time, though. I think, Norman, you would be a bit upset because Australia, I think, there's where, you know, actually they would be, if India stays long, and this rain start pouring out, and yeah, tomorrow as well, I think it would be a favorable outcome for Australia where they're sitting right now, because India has done an amazing start, and it's bad news for that the 2 days hadn't had a proper one-day play, as you said. But I think that's where the captain Mithali Raj comes into the game. You don't want to create wins or losses, but I think that's a tactical news of the captains in the leadership really can come into play. But it also raised the question that should we have 5 days for women tests? Create you have a couple of showers, and it starts to reduce that chance significantly for a result. And I think it is a shame, don't you think, Norman?
Well, it's a good point. The 5-day test should be what they're given. But they are given 100 overs a day for 4 days, which is more than the 90 men have been given. So I think they've still got a fair degree of overs in their matches compared to ours, as in men's. But the reality is that India have done very well. They've done exceptionally well. 5 for 276. Don't forget this is a multi-formatted tournament now. It's ODI, Test, and T20. So this is going to be, if it ends up being a draw, they share the points, which makes it still very, very tight. And the T20 matches, if India get up 2-1 on that, if they'll either equal the series or maybe even won it. So it's an intriguing situation. Look, I think India have done very, very well. All of their batters have hit double figures. Only Tanya Bhatia, but she's not out still, have hit double figures. We haven't seen Australia bat yet. Australia are definitely weakened without Rachel Haynes. They've got 4 deputy-time bowlers who are supposedly all-rounders, but doesn't give them any certainty in their batting order. In fact, Australia could fall quite in a heap. We just don't know. We just don't know. We haven't seen Australia bat yet, so this total has not been truly tested as to how good it is, but it looks good to me.
Indeed. When you say, Norman, would you like to see a bit more aggressiveness from both the captains to go for the win?
Well, India are 5 down now, so they should just bat their innings out because they may not need to bat again for the rest of the match. And if they get Australia in a pressurised situation tomorrow and they lose wickets and get them out rather cheaply, they could potentially send them in again, Australia that is, and it could be quite a shake-up for Australia. India are in the box seat. They've scored the runs. Time's running out. The pressure's on Australia. If the wicket is the way it seems to be, it may appear to be a batter's wicket, but look, I haven't seen Australia bat, so I can't really comment on how good it is. But Smitty Mandana's innings has been fantastic. Put them right, even Shafali Thurman. They've all batted very, very well. You've got Harmanpreet Kaur sitting down on the sidelines, Jemima Rodriguez as well. They've got some players sitting out. So they've got some depth now, India. Really have. Very impressive.
Well, certainly, Smriti Mandana records the highest score for a visiting player in Australia. I mean, her 127 is the second Test 100 for India against Australia and the first in Australia. How significant is that? And great batsman.
Well, she showed her Test batting ability, not just her short format ability. She batted like a true David Gower or even Alistair Cook in her style. Even Ganguly she's been compared to. Looked fantastic to me and really was untroubled by a rather immature Australian bowling attack. Really, they were a bit inexperienced. Ashley Gardner took her wicket off a ball that perhaps Smriti didn't have to play that uppishly. Look, India are in command, quite frankly. If they get 350 or thereabouts, Australia are going to be under the pump despite the limited time.
100%. But still, I would love to see a bit more aggression from both the captains to go for the win. I mean, if you look at it, let's rewind back to the start of the second session, because it was a bit of a frustrating start for the Aussies. Especially Beth Mooney were unable to hang on to an easy catch of the Indian skipper. And she was given a life. I think she's actually thought it had a bit too much, was going further past. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but she's probably overdived it. Is it fair to say, Norman? Probably didn't need to throw herself as much as she did at it, sort of a different position for obvious issues. Usually, I know in domestic cricket, behind the stumps with the gloves on it, it's pink ball coming out of the red seats. I mean, we can go on and on about it, but it's one that she should have taken. I think the chances of these misfielding has been increased due to that red seats, but you can't entirely blame those red seats for everything and just get away with it. What do you think, Norman?
I agree. I agree totally. Both sides are very well. India's had a Test match only recently against England. Australia spent some time away from Test matches. And they look a bit rusty, to be honest with you. Australia look particularly rusty with the ball.
But pink ball, Norman. They haven't. India hasn't played any pink ball, but Australia has. So that's sort of an advantage for them, isn't it?
True. But the reality is that neither team have played many matches at all. I'm disappointed in some ways this wasn't a day match with a red ball. That would have been preferred. Then they would certainly have to cover the seats. But I think that it deserved to be a daytime test match, in my opinion. They've jumped into a one-off 15 years since they last played into a match which is both pink ball, day-night. Just it's not really the way that I would have played this. I would have played a daytime red ball test match, and they would have had more. And they would have had more of an opportunity to see what they're all about. Anyway, India have done exceptionally well. They're 5 for 276. They've been there for over 100 overs. Australia retired. Some of the young girls who are playing certainly are going to feel it, even though they haven't been on the ground that much. India bat into the morning session, the aggression will come from their fielding and bowling. They can put a lot of pressure on Australia because Australia will have to get 300 plus runs in a very short time, which they're very capable of doing, but also raw to doing. So I think it's going to be, I think India are in the box seat. Absolutely.
I think so too. Hopefully we don't see bad weather tomorrow, but the forecast looks all right. Hopefully it wouldn't be pouring down as it did with thunderstorms. This test is heading towards a draw unless something dramatic happens and the weather isn't good for next day. I'm not sure about the day after tomorrow, but tomorrow it doesn't look that bad. So fortunately, we might be able to see a bit more full days playing. Coming back to the action.
If they have full days play both tomorrow and Sunday, that means you've got 200 overs. Now, in 200 overs, a lot can happen. So, Australia could fall and India might get them out 2 times. They can out twice in 2
But
overs.
if we don't get clear weather, for 2 days straight, I think it definitely is coming towards a draw. Wouldn't you say that?
Which India won't be unhappy about. They'll be happy with that because that puts them in a very good position to challenge in the T20 circuit, the next 3 matches. And if they win 2 out of the 3 matches, their point system will be equal, or if not, in their favour. So, look, India are in a good position. Really, they wouldn't have expected to be this close. Really, they were probably thinking Australian soil, Australian territory. They'd be struggling, but they've done very well. Very impressed with their batting.
Yeah, and Australia fought back with the ball through much better bowling from the seamers, which was not the case yesterday. So for India, I think Mandana made a ton, but the real talking point of the day was not her, but Poonam Roth, who walked when given not out, which was very funny.
Awfully. I mean, look, she gives the impression of nicking it, yes, but she should have understood there's no DRS. She had every right to stand there, and given not out would have been quite crucial actually for her to stay there a bit longer. She was looking good.
I know. That definitely set the social media, but it's on whether it was right or not thing to do. I mean, it was enough masala to keep the day rolling. Then the weather came in and forced it in. So that was pretty much the highlight of the day. And this is all the action from this historic game for today. We will be back tomorrow at 10 p.m. to take you throughout the whole day's play, and hopefully it's actually a whole day play. And hopefully we will have no more rain filled to do and can just tell you about some great cricket. Isn't it, Norman?
Absolutely. It's been wonderful. Very impressed with the women's cricket today. Very impressed.
Certainly. So thank you, Norman. Thank you, our audience. Thank you, Norman, to you especially joining tonight. And
my pleasure.
It's always good to share a screen with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll do this on a regular basis and grow this channel of yours and get more viewers. Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. This is me, Aparna Saini, signing off. Thank you for watching Cricket Conversations.